Hi, in this video we shall be looking at dynamics of measurements. Under dynamics of measurements, we have three main themes which we are going to be looking at: meaning of measurement, levels of measurement, and dimensionality of data sets. Measurements involves the assignment and recording of symbols, numerals, or numbers to objects, events, or observations based on defined rules. Measurement emanates from everyday life, but is considered very important in research. In one way or the other, we are all involved in measurements. Symbols or numerals or numbers that emanate from a measurement process constitute a data set which can be organized by measurement factors, constructs, or variables which attempt to represent useful and essential information about data. Let's look at levels of measurement. We have 4 levels of measurement. The first one is nominal. The term nominal came from the word name, which means to name or naming. Some examples are sex or gender, where you have male or female; color, where you have yellow or black or white; religion, can have Christianity, Islam or Islamic religion, traditionalists, and other religion. Then you have ordinal. Is a classification which involves ordering. Ordinal is from the word order. It has to do with ordering of objects in categories based on the extent to which they possess a particular attribute. For example, when you obtain data from scales like first class, second class, third class, there's some kind of ordering, and in that case, an ordinal data. Ranked data, ranks, like grades, I have first grade or grade A, grade B, grade C. You can also have data on socioeconomic status, like lower class, middle class, upper class. These are all examples of nominal data. Then you have the interval data or level of measurement. In interval level of measurement, objects receive numerical scores rather than ranks, as in ordinal, and the measurement process assigns real numbers to all objects in the set. In this case, differences, which are also known as intervals between values, are meaningful, but ratios of values are not as meaningful. Example of interval is when you measure temperature in degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. The last one is the ratio variables. Ratio variables have all the properties of interval variables plus a real absolute zero. Ratio variables have all the properties of interval variables, like we said earlier. Values of 0 represent the total absence of the variable being measured. So in the case of the ratio variable, you can have an absolute 0, but in interval variable, you have arbitrary 0 points. Let's look at dimensionality of data. Under dimensionality of data, you have 3 different dimensions. Univariate, which is measurement or analysis made on one variable per subject. In this case, one variable or one column is analyzed at a time. Under bivariate, measurements made on 2 variables and 2 variables analyzed at a time. Multivariate has to do with measurements made on many variables per subject. A multivariate, more than 2 variables, 3 or more variables or columns analyzed at a time. Definition of variable. We shall be looking at the definition of variable as it concerns research and analysis of data. Variable types represent levels of measurement upon which analytical techniques depend upon. For the purpose of data analysis, variables are seen as pigeonholes that hold data which arise from a measurement process. And for data, like examples of variables like income and age, variables can be classified into 2 broad categories. You have discrete, continuous variable. Under discrete variables, what happens there is that the variable name or the variable can take only certain values between its maximum and minimum, and they do not contain decimals or fractions. Example of discrete variables are number of males in a sample. When you ask, what is your age, last birthday? It's a discrete variable because it doesn't contain fractions. Number of cars on a road at a particular point in time, you can't say you have 2.5 or 2.5 cars. So those are discrete quantities, and the variables are known as discrete variables. Continuous variables are like opposite of discrete variables, because unlike discrete variables, they take on all values within its permissible range, so that for any 2 allowable values, there are other allowable values in between. A continuous variable, sometimes called a measurement variable, can be used to answer the question of how much data that emanate from measurements of simple and everyday life, like when you measure weight, height, income, they're represented by a continuous variable and are frequently treated as such in statistical analysis. Data coding. When you go to the field and obtain results from your questionnaire, it's important that the data is coded. And at times, when you also use online questionnaire, you pre-code. So data coding is very essential, and is a process of assigning a computer usable figure to responses. It is usually done with a data capturing instrument like questionnaire or structured interview. It contains most coded information, contain question number, question description, range of permissible values, and so on. Depends on what you want to code. And let's look at the table below as an example of a coded pattern resulting from a survey on consumer choice of noodles. The questions that underlie coding decisions, we need to look at it before we look at that pattern. You ask questions like, what information exists to be coded? What information is relevant? How is it likely to be analyzed? What options exist? Does the question require multiple response or not? How much of this information should be coded and keyed? How should open-ended questionnaire items be coded? Sometimes you have open-ended questionnaire items. For closed-ended questionnaire items, coding is easier. At times they are seen as being self-coded. But if there are open-ended questions, you need to take decisions, especially where there are discrepancies. Coded pattern for the Consumer choice of noodles that we mentioned earlier is shown in this window. You have question number, question description, range of permissible values. The first question, do you eat noodle? You can code 0 for no, and 1 to mean yes, and 9 to mean blank. Who buys it for you? Is it husband? You can code it as 0. Is it yourself? Code it as 1. Father is 2, mother 3, relative 4, friend 5, 6, others 9, blank. Where do you buy it? Is it supermarket? Can code it as 1, open market 2, 9, blank, and so on. This is an example of a coded pattern. You can develop and design your own pattern depending on your range of permissible value and the questions that you have and the question type, whether it's closed or ended. Data definition. When you collect data from the fields, it's important that you define the data items. By the time you want to analyze the data, you key in the data into an editor. In our case, we're going to look at data definition using SPSS. And in order to actually define your data in SPSS, you go to Open, go to Syntax in the SPSS environment. You can use the SPSS syntax window to develop codes for your data definition. Alternatively, if you want to also define data which has to do with variables and values, you can go to SPSS data window, you go to variable view and define your variable and your values there. The variable labels helps you to define variables in the data set, while the value labels help you to define values that the variables take upon. This is a window, an SPSS window for data definition. You can see it. Ordinarily, it gives the variables a default name, like var 00001, and then you now have to change it yourself and also give it a label, and then give it a value label as well. Data preparation is also very, very important, and you can look at it from 2 ways: data editing and replacement of missing data. Data editing is very important because it helps to locate inconsistent or out of range responses. Omissions are also identified with data editing because you have to clean up your data before you analyze, because if you don't, garbage in is going to be garbage out. When respondents intentionally or unintentionally fail to answer some questions, these are omissions. Ambiguity can occur when it is unclear as to which option the respondents chose. There could also be lack of cooperation in the fields when you want to obtain data, when respondents refuse to follow the instruction and think arbitrarily. You can also have ineligible responses from respondents. When a respondent who is not qualified to be in the same sample is found, in that case, it is ineligible. Data editing is very, very important. Like we said, and one tool that you will require to use for data editing is the frequency analysis tool in SPSS. Frequency results will help to locate the error which can be corrected using the search and replace procedure under edit, or you can also correct those errors using recode procedure under transform. This is a screen of frequency procedure in SPSS, which enables you to enter the variables and then to run frequency to enable you find out what make up your data set. Data filtering is also another important tool that can be used in analysis. Filtering is actually the most underutilized tool in analysis. Now, what filters do is to allow you to select specific subsets of data to view or analyze. And filters do not permanently remove the responses of those people that do not match the specified criteria. Instead, they simply eliminate them from the current view of the data, making it easier to perform analysis. To access data filter in SPSS, you click data and then select cases, and then you'll be able to filter the cases that you don't want to filter out. And at the end of the day, you will now analyze the case or cases that meet the criteria. Missing values are also another very important tool in SPSS, because missing data are actually a nuisance and can be a very big problem. But SPSS has procedure that can be used to handle missing values. One of them is serial min. This procedure replaces missing data items by the serial min of nearby points, replaces the missing data by min of values surrounding data items, median of nearby points. With this procedure, you also replace missing data by the median of values surrounding data items. You can also use linear interpolations, which is more rigorous. And then you can use linear trend at a point. It also replaces missing value with linear trends for that point. And it makes use of regression model, which regresses the given data series on an index scale 1 to 9, where n is the number of data items in the series. There are important considerations before data analysis is carried out, and we'll just mention two. The first one is, do not alter data to compensate for bad survey design. It is wrong. And then, do not project your data to people that did not respond. And these are very, very important considerations, but there are others. After this video, the next one will be looking at practical demonstration of data definition in SPSS, variable definition of variable labels and value labels precisely. We are also going to be looking at data filter. We are also going to be looking at running frequency. How do we run frequency analysis, which is a tool for data editing. And then we shall be demonstrating also how to replace missing data in our next video. For now, it is bye and thank you.